Hi agroecology students, welcome to week 7. We are going to be doing crop ID for this lab period. And we have our crops, we're going to have them in 5 different sections, starting off with our small grains and cereal plants. So I have 6 of these that I'm going to talk to you about in this video. So we'll start off with wheat. So some of the defining characteristics for wheat are that it has small hairy auricles and it has a ligule, which is present, you can see it. So, and it is the second most produced cereal crop worldwide. And it's important for like livestock feed, and then obviously they make bread and whatnot out of it. So if you want to zoom in, I'll go ahead and show you these, what I'm talking about with these small hairy auricles. So with this, so when we peel back our leaf, we can see our auricles, which again are the structures that kind of resemble ears. I kind of remember it as like a collar going around the plant. So that's what these guys are right here. So they're kind of small in relation to the plant. And then if we peel back this leaf, we can see this ligule, this little piece of, it's a little really thin membrane right here.
Yeah.
Okay. I can kind of show you on a different stem. So if we're just looking here, let's pick this one. So this is easy, like helps you to identify this as a wheat plant, especially when it doesn't have its seed head growing. So when it's just in this stage, you can walk up to it and then kind of look at the base of the leaves here, so you can see those small auricles in relation to the plant. And then if I peel back this one right here, you can really see that ligule right in there. And that's just that membranous piece of tissue.
Okay.
All right. Now we'll move on to the oats. So a lot of oats are used for livestock feed for like horses and sheep in the form of rolled oats. And there's 2 different kinds. You have the 2-row oats. Or no, never mind. That's barley. Never mind. Scratch that. So its defining characteristic is a prominent ligule. So if you want to, aside from the oats, this is really definite. This has the seed head here, but if it was at this stage, we would be looking for that prominent ligule. So we can go ahead and look at the stem here. So you can see on here that it does not have the auricles. So it doesn't have a collar going around the plant. But if we twist it this way, we can definitely see that ligule present right there. It's really big in relation to the plant, really obvious. And then we got some little mites growing in there too. But that's not identifying. So that is oats. Now we'll move on to the barley. So this is where we have the 2-rowed barley and the 6-rowed barley. And the 2-rowed is going to be used primarily for malts for like beer and whatnot. And then the 6-rowed barley is just going to be used for the grain crop that comes off of it.
What's this one?
What?
What's this one?
Barley?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the 6-rowed because it has, the 2-rowed will be like smaller seed heads and not as many of these awns coming off, whereas the 6-rowed is going to be a lot bigger, a lot more pronounced. Because there's, I think it's because it has 6 rows of seeds in this seed head.
Huh.
All right, and its defining characteristic is prominent auricles. So again, the collar coming off. So you can definitely see that here. It has a really big collar, kind of like a big, almost like a bow tie going across it. So, and then that does not have a prominent ligule. It's just really tiny in there.
Okay. Hold on. Hold that back one more time. Sorry, it's having a hard time. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Now moving on to rye. So this is primarily used for whiskey, making whiskey. Hence a lot of songs and whatnot are about that. And this one has the least obvious auricle and ligule present of all of these small grain crops. So if you want to zoom in here. Okay. So if we just look at this, we can see that it has our auricles, but they're kind of more of like these little points right here. You can kind of see that on this one that's peeled back. It's got these little, almost like little pinchers coming around the stalk or the stem. And if we peel that back, it does have a ligule, but it's not very prominent. But it is there. You can see that it's there.
Hey, hold on just a second. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Now moving on to our corn. Corn being, the Midwest with the Corn Belt, it's a really prominent crop in the Midwest. This is what I grew up. I grew up in the Corn Belt, so it was all corn and soybeans. So I'm really familiar with this plant. Third highest grain cereal produced worldwide with it. And kind of a fun fact: every state but Alaska is farmed commercially. And let's see here. It can be used for livestock feed as well as cereals from the grain that comes off of it. This is field corn, so this is not what you would find in your supermarket that you would eat like for consumption. But it's also used for a lot of like cattle feed or just other kind of livestock feed. And it's used for biofuel. That was something that I researched back in Nebraska a few years ago. So I was looking at corn and some other kind of grasses. But for corn, its identifying characteristics are these long, slender leaves. You can see that parallel venation coming through, especially in this lighting, showing us that it's a monocot because it has the parallel leaf venation. And then another characteristic is this part here up on the husk. So this is the whorl, and these little silks coming off of the whorl are called the stigmas, and that's another defining characteristic, and that leads down to the other reproductive parts. So this is what gets pollinated, and then that transfers down here. And then this is a good example of a monoecious plant. So it'll have the male reproductive parts and the female reproductive parts on the same plant. So that's cool. So it has some more growing up there, but you can definitely see that it has these long, slender leaves and then this little whorl of stigmas right here at the end of the husk. And then, so our last of these small grain crops is proso millet, and this is good for livestock feed. It's also really good in different mixes of like cover crops that are used for wildlife management. So I know back home in Minnesota, a lot of pheasants and grouse and whatnot love to eat this stuff. It's really easy for them to get and really small, so it's really easy for them to eat. And this one, its defining characteristics are that it has, let's see here, relatively large leaves, and then it also has a ligule that is more of like a fringe, so it's like a little fringe of hairs, so it kind of looks like an eyelash. So I'll find one here for you guys. Get it over in the light. So if we peel that back, we can see that it's like little eyelashes instead of like a solid membrane. It's made up of little hairs.
Oh, there you go.
Right in there for that ligule.
Sorry, the light's kind of funky with the sunlight.
Oh. And then we also have our spherical seeds here, so that's what I mean. It's a relatively small seeded plant. Kind of hold that maybe.
Perfect.
Right there.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. So that is it for these small grains. And we'll end this video here.